Hi everyone, I'm Alicia, and on this channel we learn how we can build and earn using blockchain technology. In this video, I'm going to take you through how you can create your first smart contract and actually deploy it on a real blockchain. We're going to follow the tutorial from Dacade, and in this tutorial you will learn how you can deploy a smart contract on the Celo blockchain. The tutorial also has other steps such as building a front end, but this video will focus mainly on the Solidity smart contract aspect. And by the way, if you complete this tutorial as well as submit your own work, you can receive 100 USD as a reward. So definitely sign up using the link in my description. And I'm so excited for you. Let's jump in. Oh, and by the way, if you encountered any issues when trying to do the last step of the smart contract development module in this tutorial on Dacade, then definitely watch this video to the end because you will see the solution as well. All right, so let's get started. So to sign up for Dacade, use a link in my description and a YouTube video, and you will sign up and then you'll see a screen like this. And then I'm going to go to Celo community, and we're going to start with Celo development 101. Okay, so there are three modules. What is Celo, smart contract development, and building the front end of the app. In this video, we're going to focus on smart contract development. So this is where you can deploy your free smart contract to the Celo blockchain. So click that. Of course, you should go through the tutorial as well on your own, but I'm just walking you through the steps so that it makes more sense. When you are a programmer, you have to write code, and you have to write that code somewhere on your laptop. So in this case, we're going to use a Remix IDE. It's web-based, very easy to use, nothing to install. So just go straight to the link. And this interface is what Ethereum developers use, Polygon developers use. Any person who's developing for a blockchain that's compatible with Ethereum can use Remix. So in this case, we're building for the Celo blockchain, but the skills are transferable. All right, so they're telling you about a featured plugin called Learn ETH, where you can learn the basics about Ethereum. I'm going to skip that for now because you'll do that on your own time, but I'm going to jump straight into the code. So they're saying the first thing you need to do is set up your Solidity file. So they're saying create a new file and call it something like marketplace.sol, because in this tutorial, they're teaching you how to create your own marketplace where persons can buy products. So if I go in the contract section, I could probably create a new folder, well, not in here, but outside of here, new folder, and call it Dacade. And then within here, I'm going to create a contract called, what is it? Marketplace.sol. All right. So the first thing you do is you specify the license, meaning how would you like your code to be used? And there are many different types of licenses that you can find information about via this link. So I'm just going to use the MIT license for now. And then the next thing you have to do is you have to specify the version of Solidity that you will be using. So when you're programming in general, you're using different versions of software. And trust me, managing these versions can get complex and frustrating. So I do like the fact that you're immediately declaring which versions you're using. So in this case, they're saying that you're using versions Solidity from 0.070 all the way to 0.09. So just going to copy that. I think right now the version is at the time, right now, I think it's 0.814. Cool. So we have the first line of code. You see this line here, the fact that it's green like that, this is a comment. So the compiler doesn't interpret this. This is for information only. So you can write anything here. You can say, this is my first line of code. And if you have programmed with other programming languages before, they do use the same kind of format for commenting where you have 2 forward slashes. So your first line of code is actually this line where you specify the Solidity version that you will be using. Now you're going to create your first smart contract. So to create a contract, there's something called keywords in programming. So there's some keywords that are reserved because the compiler looks at the keyword to interpret what you're trying to say to the compiler. So in this case, a keyword here is contract. So we are going to create a smart contract. So the keyword is contract. So you see that makes sense. You can name the contract anything you want, but these names may have value in the sense that if you want to reference it, you're going to reference it by that name. So in this case, a contract we're creating is marketplace. So we're going to say contract marketplace. You can name it literally anything, right? Marketplace. So you see the words that are keywords within the programming language are highlighted in a way. It's colored blue in my case. So in programming, we use variable to store pieces of information. There are different types of storage in Solidity, but in this case, we are creating a variable called product, and the value that we're storing it is burger. So we're creating a marketplace. So essentially, we're saying one of the products is a burger, and the value for product is burger. So just going to write that down. String public product. We can call a variable anything we want, but we'd obviously name it something that makes sense for what we're doing, equals burger. So there's a lot happening here. String is the data type. Public is how this variable can be accessed. In this case, public meaning any other smart contract can call this smart contract and get the value of this variable. And then the value of the variable is burger. And you put those quotes to denote that it is a string. And in some programming languages, you have to specify the end of a line. And in Solidity, you do so by putting a semicolon. So far, so good? All right, so I'm talking to you as if you probably have some coding experience, or maybe you don't have coding experience. So that way, two types of people can follow this video. But I think anyone who has a little bit of programming experience or lots of programming experience can follow. And if you're completely new, maybe you're just a really fast learner, and well done. So now they're saying compile the contract, deploy it, and get your variable by calling an automatic getter function. So because you've named it public, you can automatically call it. So to compile it, we go here. We make sure that the compiler version is a version that is compatible for us. We've specified 0.07 to 0.9, and the one that's selected here is 0.87, so that's absolutely fine. We say compile, and you see there's a tick, meaning everything was fine. We were able to compile, there are no problems. The next thing they're saying to do is actually deploy it. So that is this symbol here. And right now it's going to be deployed not to the actual blockchain, but to like a local version of the blockchain within this application called a VM, a virtual machine. So we're just going to do deploy. And it's deployed, as you can see from this messaging here. And right here in the corner here, they allow you to interact with it. So if I click product, which is a variable that I named, and I hard-coded the value to be burger, I expect it to return me burger. So you see, that works. If you'd like to learn more about data types such as strings and integers, as well as the types of visibility and accessibility variables can have, then they've included 2 links here so that you can learn more. Okay, so now that we have a variable, that's all well and good. But when it comes to adding functionality to programs, you have to create something called a function or method. And that is where you add some logic for what you want to happen. So if you have a function that's called, I don't know, update product, because now you're no longer selling burgers, you're now selling pies, then you need a function which will allow you to change the name of that variable. So that's exactly what we're going to do. In this section called read and write functions, we're going to learn about how we can read and write as well. So they have a function which is called write product. It takes in a variable which is a string. So they're basically saying, like this bracket here is saying it's a parameter, and they're basically saying, like, you can pass a value to this method and we'll update the variable that we have in storage, which is product, with the new product that you have, or the new product that you are, the new name you're giving to the product, sorry. So function write product, that's the name. The value is string. The location where it's stored is memory. I'll touch on that a little bit. They named it underscore product, just so you can differentiate between the product and storage, and then this temporary variable. And it's temporary because it's not only a function parameter, but we also give it the data type memory, or the storage type memory, I should say, like that. And then we're saying that product is now going to be equal to product, the one with underscore. So we can name this anything, but because when you start programming, you get into a habit of naming things because you're creating variables, it's really nice to not have to create new names for another variable. Because if you use the same name, then it'll be hard to distinguish between the two. So the underscore is simply a naming convention. And then here they have another method, which is called read public. And this method is a little bit different because you're not actually modifying any variables within this method. You're simply returning a string. So they've actually changed the product to internal instead of public, which means only this smart contract and derived smart contracts can access it. But if you would like to access it, we do have a proper method that you can use. And this just gives us more control, because what if you only want one particular user to access it? Then you can put that functionality or that logic within this method. So we're creating another method called read product. And as you can notice, it has something a little bit different. Oh, I forgot to put public for this method here as well, because we're allowing any smart contract to access it. So that's public. And now we're going to do the read product one. So function, the name that we give it, read product, no values are coming in. So this section here is only where you pass values in. None are coming in because, we're just reading something. And it has to be a type view. And this essentially tells the compiler that this function does not modify anything. It is simply used for returning information. So what are we going to return? So we do specify returns, and we tell the compiler the data type, string, as well as the storage type, memory. And then we also make this public as well. So let's see, return product. Right, because product is this variable here. So let's see if I'm untracked. Okay, yeah, sounds good. Public view returns. So there's more information, like everything I'm describing here, there's more information about their links, etc. for you to click to figure these things out as well, or to get more learning. All right, so let's do the same thing again. Let us compile. Ooh, what mistake did I make? Public. Expected that, but got public. Public view returns. Did I do something wrong? So you do have to put the public there. So they didn't like where I placed public, so that's fine. Now we have public in front here instead, and it compiles. Okay, cool. Phew. All right, so let's now deploy it. Boom. All right, cool. So now this was the old version that we had here, and then this new version that we just deployed, we can give the product a new name and we can read the product. So if you read, it says burger. But if I now say pizza, then if I read the product again, it'll now say pizza. So what we've done there is we have updated the product, and now the smart contract has a different value in storage. So what we've done there is that we've updated the product. So this variable points to some data that's stored in the smart contract. And now it doesn't say burger anymore, even though that's what it said before. Now it says pizza. So what if you want to sell multiple products? Like you want to sell pizza, you want to sell fries, you want to sell burgers, then you would like to create a list of products. And in programming, there's something called a data structure. So a data structure is how you organize data within your code. So there are some data structures that the program naturally supports, and it has a special way of how it stores it in memory as well, or stores it in storage as well. So in this case, we're going to use a particular data storage. We're going to use a particular data structure called a mapping. And a mapping is simply a key value pair. So essentially, we're going to say, all right, we have like 5 products, product 0, because in programming, you start from 0. Product 0 is pizza. Product 1 is burger. Product 2 is fries, etc. So to implement that, we are going to change the type of variable we're using. So currently, we're using string, but we should actually be using something else so we can have a list of it. So in this case, we're going to use a mapping. So the way you write this up, now a lot of things you just have to learn, the formatting you just have to learn, like not everything is logical, but if you coded before, some things look familiar. So we're using an unsigned integer. That is a key, and the value is going to be a string, and we're going to call it products maybe. And I'm going to say it's internal as well. So I'm going to delete that line because we no longer need that. And then we're going to update it here. So now we have 2 values associated with our product listing. We have the index for it, or the ID for it, and then we have the actual product's name. So we have to allow the person who's updating the products to be able to provide both pieces of information. So it's going to be uint index and then storage. And then here we're going to say products and then say index is equal to this new product. And then when we return, they're going to ask us for a particular index as well. Like I want to read the product at this particular location. And then we're going to return it for them as well. And what did I do wrong? Oh, products. Because I changed the name of it because it's now a list of products. All right, so as you can see, compile, all good. Now deploy. I'm going to close these 2. Deploy. All right, so now we can write a product, and like you see here, it's telling us how we can do it. So we can say 0 pizza. And then if we read what's at position 0, they'll say pizza. And now if I say 1 burger, so oops, if I write that and I read what's at 0, it's still going to say pizza. But now if I read what's at run, it's going to say burger. Now I have 2 products in my store and I'm starting to get hungry, but we still have a little way to go before we can eat. So now I've done that. That looks good. You can obviously follow the tutorial to read the explanation for things. And now they're saying, all right, cool. We know we have pizza. We know we have burgers, but how much are they? Who is selling them? Because this is actually a decentralized marketplace. Anyone can sell pizza. And does it have a special name? Does it have an image? So we now have a lot of information that we would like to store about these products. However, the data structure that we have right now is kind of restricting us because it's essentially saying you have a key, you have a value. That's it. So what we will do to improve that is we can create our own data structure, and that is called a struct. So in this case, they created a struct called product, and they have a whole bunch of variables in it. I'll just copy paste it so I can be quick, but I'll explain to you what each one is. So now I'm just going to paste that. All right, so struct product. So we have some of the same things. So we have a name, we have an image, we have a description, location, price, important, how many is sold, so quantity sold, and owner. And owner has something in front of it called payable. So payable is also a keyword. You see it's highlighted. It's something called a modifier. And this payable keyword allows this particular address, which is a type, to receive payments in the form of, let's say, ETH, but in this case, Celo tokens. So we'll touch on that a little bit more. And if you would like to learn more about modifiers, then I recommend that you go to this website called Solidity, by example. They have really, really great explanations, or let me not say really, really great. They have really simple explanations for various concepts. And I think it's just quick and easy to help you understand something if you don't want to spend too long going down the rabbit hole. So that's a good resource to use as well. And you can also learn more about structs because they have helpful links all throughout. Bada bing, bada boom. All right. So the reason why we have this address variable is because we would like to pay the person who owns this particular product. That's why the variable is called owner, but you can name it whatever. You could call it seller. And guess we want to get some pizza because I'm actually feeling kind of hungry. I don't even know what I'm going to have for lunch. So this is getting me riled up. But we're not just going to have one product, right? We're going to have a list of products so we can still make use of this particular structure, which is a mapping. So we can still say, all right, we're going to have a list of products. It's just not going to be called one thing. It's going to have a bunch of things describing it. So I will just say that the data type that is going to be in the key value pair is going to be now product. Isn't that nice how that works out? So now I have errors here because every time I do save, I get errors because now I'm saying that it should accept a string, which is not the data type that I have said here. Actually should accept a product. Do you know what I'm saying? So I can change that to product and that should work. And then in this case, it returns product as well. And that should work. But let's go back to the tutorial. Cool. So that's not how they're doing it because they would like the user to be able to specify each item from the product, right? So they're saying, okay, we know what the product is meant to hold. So we're going to ask the user to input all this information here. That's a parameter of the function. And then we're going to then initialize a new product variable, which would make sense, right? So let me change it to what would make more sense for right now. Just want to copy that. Don't need that. Just indent it a bit, make it look a bit prettier. And then I'm going to say it is equal to a whole new product. And gonna just copy this. And because you are creating the product, oh wait, let me not speed ahead. Copy that. Okie dokes. And you notice there's a variable here called sold, but this is quantity sold. And technically, when you first create a product, there'd be none sold. So you could just say, all right, I'm just going to create the variable here. sold is equal to 0. So therefore here, what's that? All right, so let's see. Products. What's the issue here? Did you mean underscore index? Oh, yeah, of course, because that's what I named it here. Okay, so I initialize sold to 0 and then I pass 0 here. And in terms of who is the address, because you have an address, which is who you're paying, who owns the particular product. It'll be the person who created the product. So I'm just saying message.sender. So this basically specifies the person who is writing this, because when you interact with the blockchain, you have to authenticate as yourself via your wallet. So that person, message.sender, will be the person who's creating the product, and we're declaring it as payable. I'm sure Dacade has a better explanation for that somewhere there. But yeah, the function message.sender returns the address of the entity that is making the call. It is also payable. So just highlight that really nicely. All right, bada bing, bada boom. Did we do this correctly? All right, so that was good so far. Now we need to replicate the exact same behavior for return. So in this case, we still want to know what a particular product is at a particular index. So we're still going to say this is going to be the same. But what we're returning is the actual individual items of the product. So let's see if that's what they did. Yeah. So I'm just going to copy this because ain't nobody got time. I mean, I do have the time, but, I would like to get some time back. So, boom, boom. You're basically just saying, what are the data types that is being returned, and just have to make sure to return that. So I'm just going to copy that again. Boom. And delete this. Boom. Ooh-wee. This needs to be underscore. Just so it matches. Okay, that's that. Okay, so now we need to deploy it. Oh, wait. First, I'm going to compile and then deploy. So go to the last deployment. And then I can write the product. So I can say position 0. What are the variables? Name. So you can do this drop down here so you can see it really nicely. So position 0, the name is pizza, the image, I can find a pizza online. And I could just say it points to a particular location. Oh, that looks good. Yeah, I can say that's what the image is. And I'm just going to say the yummy pizza located in London. And the price is £10 because you know how it is out here. So transact. And if I say read product at position 0, they're going to be like, yo, the person who created it was this. This is just an address based on this virtual machine. And it's pizza. This is the image. It's yummy. It's in London. It's 10. And none was sold because it's kind of expensive. So now you should be feeling a little good. You can have a list of products in your store. So the person who created the product can receive money for it. You can have a list of products. You can tell them the price. You can say where the image is. And that will work really nicely for the front end. So now there's just a section here where you'll optimize the smart contract a bit. And they're saying let's keep check of how many products are actually in the store. So that way the person who's creating a new product doesn't have to worry about, oh, should I put 0? Should I put 1? Should I put 2? So they created a variable called product length. So it's an integer, internal products length. And at first it's going to be 0, right? And then every time you have to create a new product, they're using that same variable where index was. So wherever you have index in your code, you're going to remove it because we're no longer going to ask the user to specify it. Well, not wherever, at least in terms of the write product function. So just going to delete that. And then as well, they included a method where you can figure out how many products are in your store. So let me just copy paste that quickly because that's not that deep. But essentially you have the function keyword, the function name, It's not asking the user to pass any variables in because you're just asking them what's the product length. It's public, anyone can see it. It's a view function because nothing is being modified. It's returning a type integer, which is a product length. Cool. All right, so save. That compiles really well. And then if we deploy, that should work too. I'm not going to demonstrate. Well, I guess I'll just deploy it. And I'll demonstrate that right now. The product length would be 0. And then if I add a product, also if I add pizza, image, so location, yummy pizza, London 10, transact, and the product length will... Oh, I forgot to add. See, it's a good thing I tried. I forgot to update the product length. So every time I add a product, I should say products length ++, which means you're adding 1 to the product length. So yeah, make sure you're following the tutorial clearly. I just was trying to zoom through. All right, so now I need to check that again and do it again. And we're to deploy. If you check the product length now, it'll say 0. And if I add a new product, pizza, image, yummy, London, 10, transact, and the product length should now say 1. If I say what's that position, 0, it'll tell me the pizza. Phew. Okay, cool. Let's keep it moving. We're almost there. So this part is actually quite exciting. So in this section of the tutorial, you will enable your smart contract to make transactions via the Celo stablecoin cUSD, which is an ERC20 token. So tokens that use the ERC20 standard inherit the same interface. We are going to then copy this interface into our code because we need to be familiar with the ERC20 structure to be able to use it. So we're just going to copy that into our code. It's not something that you have to figure out yourself. It was something that was already agreed upon. And everyone who creates ERC20 tokens uses this interface. Add that to your code. Now you can utilize this interface by calling the name of it. So they're saying that we would like to create a token address. So in blockchain technology, everything is accessed by an address, even smart contracts. So if we go to the Celo Blockchain Explorer, we know that we will be deploying this code to the testnet. So I'm going to say testnet, which is called Alpha Julius. And we will look for cUSD. Now it might be hard to know which one is the official one. Let's see if that's similar to what they mentioned. Yeah, it is. So I'm just going to copy it. So the data type is address. It is going to be internal. We're going to keep it private for now. We're going to call it cUSD. And that. They call it cUSD token address. You can name it what you want. I think I'll just say cUSD for now. Probably I'll keep the naming convention similar. cUSD. So we're having the same naming convention where we start with lowercase and each new word is now a capital letter. So it's called a mixed case naming convention. Okie dokes. So now we'd like to create a function where you can buy the product. So here's a function here. It says function. The function name is buy product. You're saying at which particular location, meaning which products you want to buy. Right now, the products are identified by IDs or indexes. So in this case, we put 0 or 1, and the modifier payable is used because assets are going to be transferred. And essentially it's saying, I'm just going to ignore this for now. And essentially it's saying, take the ERC20 token based on the cUSD token address, because we know for sure we're transferring cUSD on this app, which is a stablecoin on the Celo blockchain. And we're going to transfer it from the sender, meaning the person who initiated the transaction, who's buying the product. We're going to send it to the owner and we're going to send this much. And how we know what function this is from the interface that we had before. So it's address, uint, it returns bool. So if you'd like to learn more about the ERC20 token, I'm sure they have a link somewhere here. But essentially it's saying the person who's initiating the transaction, the receiver of the funds, and then how much you're going to be sending. And it's going to be based on this token. That's the token that's going to be sent. And this require here is essentially like error handling. It's saying, make sure this happens. So make sure this transfer happens. And if it doesn't, you're going to return this message saying transfer failed. And when the transfer does go through, so if it does fail, this entire transaction will revert. So it wouldn't even go to this line of code. But if it does go through successfully, then you're going to increment the number of products sold by incrementing the variable sold on the products mapping at position 0 or at ID 0, because remember it's a key value pair. So I am going to copy and paste this function for expediency, because I think this video right now I can see is 39 minutes on my screen. I know I made some mistakes, but yeah, that's still kind of long. And let's see, I'm getting an error because this function name is not what not function name, but this token name is not what I named it. I named it cUSD. So cUSD. And now, it compiles properly. And if we go back into the code, and then if we deploy, and then we go back here, and let's see, we see how many products there are. There are none. So let's add a product, pizza, image, yummy, London, $10, transact, and then we're going to buy the product at position 0. And they said, have reverted, the call function should be payable if you send value, and the value sent should be less than your current balance. So do we have any cUSD here in this wallet? Perhaps not, and that is why it doesn't send. So what we can do is we can deploy to a testnet and use a faucet, which is like a way to receive funds for free, especially on testnets, and you can receive the cUSD from the faucet. So first, let me see if cUSD testnet faucet exists. Find your testnet account. So each request has one Celo and one of each of the core token. So we're going to have to price the pizza quite cheaply just so we could use a testnet funds. So far, we've been deploying it to a virtual machine. So to use the actual blockchain, we need to interact with the blockchain network. So there are various networks on the blockchain. There's a test network called the testnet for short. There's a main network called the mainnet. So the test network on the Celo blockchain is called Alpha Juries. I'm sure there's an accent somewhere that I can't do, but that's what it's called. So first things first, we need a wallet, because when you interact with blockchain networks, you need a piece of software, like a client software. In this case, it's a wallet. So they do have a Celo extension called the Celo extension wallet, which I'm going to add to Chrome. And when you're doing this step, of course, think about all the security practices, because you are going to have to store your secret keys. But once you get started with this, you should be good to go. So welcome to the Celo extension. Let's create a wallet. Remember to store your backup phrase. And yeah, this is Celo. And I'm going to connect to the test network. And I'm going to copy the address so I can use the testnet faucet. Boom. I'm not a robot. Okay, Celo is sent. So if I go back to that wallet, I should have Celo and cUSD. They're telling me to back up, and I will back up, okay? So what I can do is I can look at this in the Celo Explorer. And this is the testnet. And I have 3 tokens. So I have 1 cUSD, 1 euro, 1 Celo. So that's lovely, and I appreciate that. So now I can go on. This is not real money, of course. This is simply testnet money, but still good to have. So now let us try to deploy this to the actual blockchain in the test network, but still the real blockchain. Install the Celo Remix plugin and then deploy a contract. So if we go to Remix, I think if you go home, and here they have a list of featured plugins, and you go more, and you say Celo, and I do activate. Perfect. Now that we've added the plugin, now you go to the Celo section. So now you see this, little Celo icon here. You connect to your wallet. Say connect. Right now it's connected to the testnet, and you have 1 Celo. So now we're going to compile. That works well, and then now we're going to deploy it. So we do want to deploy to this network, which is Alpha Juries, which is the network that we're currently connected to. So it's automatically detecting that. So I'm just going to say deploy. Oh wait, compile, sorry. And then make sure I'm selecting the marketplace contract, and then now deploy. So they're saying that's how much it's going to cost to deploy it. Yay, it's deployed. Ooh, this is cute. Okay, so we are going to add a product, pizza. Just say image location for now. And then say yummy pizza. This pizza is in London, and I'm going to charge it at 1 because that's how much I have. Now, every transaction you do in a blockchain, you do have to initiate a blockchain transaction, which means paying miners. So I do have to pay for that, but I'm creating a product which is going to be sold. So yeah, I will do. I'll pay gas fees. And that has been added, and they're telling me all the information. This is nice. And now, if I try to buy the product at position 0, because I know for sure there's one, I just added it. Gas limit must be at least 21. Contract. Let's see. There is a product. There are two things to do to solve this. The first thing is you want to give the smart contract permission to transfer the tokens from your address to the other person's address, right? Now, there is a way to do that with code using the approve method, but it did not work. So I went onto the Dacade YouTube channel, and thankfully they did have a video just showing you how to get it done. So essentially you are going to approve the token that you'd like to transfer, but you just have to do it a bit like not in code. So if you go into Remix and you know how you can specify an address here? You can specify a contract address that you would like to see or invoke. So I'm using the ERC20 token interface, and I'm going to say add address there. And at the bottom here, you'll see that address. So here there's an approve method, and the address that I'd like to approve is the smart contract that I just deployed. So copy the smart contract for the marketplace that you deployed on the Celo testnet. So if I do copy, and then I go back here. But before we put that address in here, we need to place the amount first. This was another like tiny glitch that you had to do. You have to place the amount that you would like to approve and then the address. When it comes to the amount, there are no decimal places in Solidity. So as a result, there are really large numbers, and actually 1 ETH. So what you consider to be 1 ETH token or 1 Celo token is actually 1 with 18 zeros. I need to see how many decimal places the cUSD token has. So if I go to the cUSD contract over on the Explorer and I go to the read proxy section, it might tell me. So yeah, decimal is 18. So therefore this way to ETH converter will work. So 1. So I get that. So I know for sure I wanted to be able to spend 1 cUSD. Let's just say for simplicity purposes. So I'm going to approve 1 cUSD, but because you're speaking in Solidity, you have to actually do 1 by 10 to the 18. And then the address I'd like to approve is a smart contract that I created before. And I'm just gonna copy this address. Go back here. So I'm going to approve it. Confirm. So now if I go back to the marketplace and let me just, I don't think I added any products to this because this is a new contract that I deployed whilst I was testing. So if I go to get product length, okay, 0. So now I'm going to add a product or write a product. And I'm going to say pizza location, that's 1. So cool. Wait for that transaction to confirm. Wonderful. And then I am going to just see. Yes, I have 1 product. Now I'm going to say buy product. I'm going to buy this one. Maybe I should switch the smart contract so you can see the transaction actually happening, but that's fine. Okay, so I'm just going to say buy the product. And the transaction should work. Wonderful. Looks like that transaction works. So I can go back to my address in Celo. And if I do token transfers, I can see that 25 seconds ago, I did a token transfer where I transferred one cUSD from this address to this address. It's the same address because the same account that created the product is the same account that's buying it, just because, you know, this tutorial is going on for very long now, but if you wanted, you could have had 2 separate wallets. And now you have completed that tutorial. Boom, boom, boom. Hooray. You have now written Solidity code, created a smart contract with some decent functionality, and deployed it to the Celo testnet. You can take the same code and deploy it to the Celo mainnet. And actually, that's a challenge for you guys. I would like for you to deploy it to the mainnet if you do have Celo funds. If not, don't worry. But if you do deploy it to the mainnet, then you're going to have to change this address because this is cUSD on the testnet. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.